Welcome to the Lord's Supper, and this is part of the What the Bible Teaches series. And it's an exciting topic, yet it's a familiar one. And the challenge tonight is to show you the depth and breadth of this amazing, amazing topic, but at the same token, to show you that it is filled with controversy. So let's begin with just an overview of training topics, and we'll do an introduction. We'll introduce you to essential resources for digging deeper, the various views of the Lord's Supper. We'll talk about key passages on the Lord's Supper, how to get organized for your research, and how to study the Lord's Supper, and then some last considerations as well. So very excited to bring this topic to you and the challenges. Okay, and okay, just good. All right, so don't forget there will be a personal book included with each with this webinar. In fact, let me go ahead and just pull that open right now, and you'll see that in a second. And there you go. So this is quite a comprehensive personal book that we've got in here for you with all the details, including the various resources and whatnot with links to buy and own and so forth. So very excited to have put that together for you, bringing a great value to this webinar. Let's go now back to the PowerPoint. And just a quick reminder, you can take the webinar home for $4.99. That's 50% off. You'll receive that by download link in the next 24 to 48 hours. We are getting close to starting to release the version 5 training. So if you don't have the Logos training whatsoever on the DVD bundles, just go ahead and purchase that today, and you will get the 5.0 training for free with that purchase. And for those of you who have purchased the pre-order, the February 4th, we'll begin shipping the first 100 videos, which will cover every aspect of 5. They come both in the interactive format as well as a non-interactive format that will work with your iPads or any other device that can play MP4, PC, Mac, etc. Then a few weeks after that, we're going to release 200 more. That's part of that package, which will be the book overviews. And then just shortly thereafter that, we're going to have 100 more. So that's 400 videos in all for the Logos 5 training. And that'll teach you how to study and prepare a message with Logos 5. So very excited. I'm very tired working to get this done, but it is coming. And February is going to be a big month for the release. So very excited and appreciate your patience as we wrap that up. All right, let's begin. Just a brief introduction. I just want to take a moment here and stress that this is a very, believe it or not, a controversial topic in so many areas. And we're going to discuss that. Also, there's quite a few resources in the Logos library, and so we're going to get into those. But in addition to this controversy, I want to make sure that tonight we do our best job in giving you the path through to study for yourself. What I want to try to avoid tonight is certainly I'm going to impart some teaching and sharing what the scriptures are saying and reading, but because of the size and depth and breadth of this topic, I'm going to try to avoid creating a controversy and just simply explain the different views and show you how you can study these different views and come to a conclusion. So very, very excited for that. So just want to make sure things are working. And let's see, let's go now into the essential resources. So let me go back to Logos and let me walk you through the various resources that are available in the Logos library. And there's quite a few of these, and I've organized them into several categories. So I've got like an analysis books, those types of resources that will analyze the Lord's Supper. Then I've got some resources that go through the historical views of the Lord's Supper. Then we'll talk about books that just are there to teach you about the doctrine. And also the entire library. We'll show you how to do an entire library search to find more resources. And also we'll show you how to do some journal article searching and then creating some collections. So let me move this out of the way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on my personal book. I'm going to open in a floating window and just move it out of the way so we can begin to see these. Now, I am seeing a couple people who are coming a little bit later into it, to the presentation here, and they're wondering how to get the audio. So let me just pop up a slide real quick for them. and that will help you find it in there, how to get the audio. And there we go. Everyone else is good. Okay. Now let's open up the first book, and it's the perfect book for such a topic because it is understanding the four views on the Lord's Supper. And what makes this book really neat is that it brings out the differences. So each one who represents their point of view is not only going to argue it, but then they're going to talk about it from the different perspectives. So you're going to have the Baptist view, which is the memorial view. And really that is talking about the Lord's Supper as simply a sign, a symbol. And that is one of the predominant views. Then as they move from a pure symbolic view, we move into the Reform view, which is the real presence of Christ. Now, they won't go so far in the Reform view and in the, they call it the dynamic view and the Presbyterian view. They won't go so far to say Christ is literally the blood and body of Christ in it, but he is spiritually present when we partake of this. And so it's very important you see that subtlety, okay? Then you get into the Lutheran view, which is consternation. It's a very hard word for me to pronounce. And so we're moving closer now to the Catholic view, which is Christ is truly present in the Eucharist, as they call it, in the Lord's Supper. You're truly having his body and blood. And so the Lutheran view is just a little bit removed from that. We'll get into more detail, but I at least wanted to set the stage and set the table, so to speak, and let you know that these are the four predominant views. Of course, the Roman Catholic view is saying it truly is the real presence and body and blood of Christ, that there's a re-sacrificing going on in the Lord's Supper. And so if you look at from either way, you're coming from the Catholic view and move away from the true body and blood of Christ all the way to a pure symbol in the Baptist view, or go the other way, you can see how they've organized this, and that's very helpful. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of information in this book that's going to be very, very helpful. Okay, now, the book also deals with statements and quotations and so forth and resources for further study, which we're going to give you more here. And that particular book, all these books that I'm showing you tonight are available in the Logos program. So Logos has really picked up quite a few resources. Now this next one is very specific, and it's going to show you the difference between the Protestant view and the Catholic view. And this is done by H.R. Ironside. So it's a very readable resource, a little bit older, of course, but nevertheless, walking you through the various views. And so you can see that there. This next one I want to bring out, and this is something that was quite interesting for me to study, but it's very important now. When you read this title, The Doctrine of the Real Presence as Contained in the Fathers. Now, this particular author, with several others that we'll get into, are very unique in that they're called Anglo-Catholic theologians. Okay, so you can see that they're mixing Catholicism with the Anglo. Okay, and they're coming out of England, and so they have a little bit of Roman Catholicism, more so on that side, but they're trying to build a bridge to the Protestants, to the evangelicals. Okay, so when you read these resources, you need to understand that is their approach here. They're holding to the Catholic view, but they're trying to bring you over from the Protestant view. And so it's very important that you note that as you read these resources. So these particular resources I just showed are what I call analysis resources. They're going to go into the different views and try to show you what they mean and how they differ. And so you need that background. The next resource are the historical resources, and these are very fascinating because they go through the history of the different thoughts and beliefs about the Lord's Supper. Now again, here's another one. His name is Darwell Stone, and he too, like Pusey, I think that's how you pronounce it, is also an Anglo-Catholic. So again, I want to make sure when I show a resource, you understand the particular denomination or where they're coming from theologically. Okay, so this is a very, and let me just open up the resource so you can see. So he's going to walk you through some basic things of the Jewish pagan and the Christian. He's going to talk about the Lord's resurrection and so forth and begin to work you through. Now, this is kind of a very introductory resource. And then he's got a second one. So let's go ahead and open up that. Now, this one is his magnus opus, very exhaustive, and it's the history of the doctrine of the Holy Eucharist, 1 and 2. Now, Logos has created this as a 2-volume set, and they are 2 individual books in the candles, the first cup, and I want to pause here, okay? If you know anything about the Seder, you know that there's a first cup. It's called the cup of sanctification. There's a second cup called the cup of praise. There is the third cup, the cup of redemption, and the fourth cup, the cup of Hallel. And and then of course there's the cup of Elijah that's not taken. Okay, so you see the 5 cups there. Now, there's an argument made, and you can go all the way back to the Mishnah, where this began around 200 AD. And you may be asking the question, when we read the Old Testament, read the Passover, we don't see 4 cups. But this was something that was instituted at some point. And the key passage to understand where they got this from is Exodus chapter 6, verse 6 and 7. And this is pretty amazing where they got this from. Okay, so this is in the context. This is certainly before the Passover. But listen to what it says. The Lord says to Moses, "Now you shall see what I will do to Pharaoh, and he will let you go under the compulsion." And then God further spoke to Moses and said, "I'm the Lord." And he appeared to Abraham, I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and so forth. I'll establish my covenant. Furthermore, I've heard the groaning of the sons of Israel, because the Egyptians are holding them in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant. And that's the covenant he gave to Abraham. "Say therefore to the sons of Israel, I am the Lord, and here's the first one, I will bring you out from under burdens of the Egyptians, and I will deliver you from their bondage. I will also redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgments. Then I will take you for my people, and I will be your God. And you shall know that I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of from under your burdens of Egypt." Okay, now, these 4 I wills that you see here, these particular ones, is the basis in the rabbis and in the Mishnah and the rabbinic tradition of where the 4 cups from. So I just wanted to give you a little background on how that came about, in case you're curious. This book will go into a little bit of that as well, to help you understand, and so forth. So though there's no scriptural basis for 4 cups being served, this is a tradition that has been passed down for ages. And so if you're curious on that, that search that I just did, Passover Seder, will help you find that. All right. Now, with that being said, let me just give you a couple more items here. We talked about searching systematic or searching theological journals. Another important area that you need to search is going to be your systematic theologies. We'll deal with this a little more again, but I want to just take a moment here. I've got a search for you. And so the systematic theologies, Lord's Supper, Communion, and Eucharist, is a great way. And again, notice I'm using the large text at the headings or as a subject, or as a search field. So that makes it a little bit easier to find this information. And so there you go. So I think you'll find that very, very helpful. So, and as you scroll through there, you can see we got the Reform view, Eucharist. And I forgot to mention earlier, if you're wondering where the Catholic Church got the word Eucharist, it's actually a pretty simple thing. If you do a search for the word thank you in the Bible, so let me go to Bible and just type in, thank you. Okay, and let's just go to the New Testament, because that's a Greek word. And let's see, let's go to Ephesians. Do not cease giving thanks. In fact, let me bring up the interlinear and show the transliterated so you can see that. Okay, you can see that the word giving thanks is where the word Eucharist comes from. So pretty cool where that word is coming from. And the question from Sandra, will large text pick up large font headings in personal books? That's a good question, and let's just find out real quick here. You got me a little curious there. So let me just put in a book of mine. Let's see. Let's do the webinar hell and large text, and let's put in hell, because I know I did something there. And it looks like yes, it will. Okay, so it will pick up the large text in your personal book. So very, very cool. It will do that. So great question.